I've been a long-time lurker of the FrutigerAero subreddit, and I always see interesting things on here that I have a lot of comments on. So I thought it would be a fun idea to browse through the subreddit and make it into a video. I hope you enjoy. So this picture right here is interesting. Take a look at it and it has those little like 3D clip art people all over it. And these guys are so iconic, and I've actually been really interested in these little guys for a while now. These like 3D people. You can basically search up any action, any situation, and find like renders of these guys in that situation. And where do these little white guys come from though? Who invented them and what are they called? That is exactly what I am thinking. And I was actually thinking of making a video about them. It's just an idea. I need to do a little bit more research about it. This response is really good though. I think God made them. This picture right here is interesting. It's an AI generated FrutigerAero image. The thing about this image is that it like takes all the elements that it thinks FrutigerAero should have and like mashes it together to create an image that does not give off FrutigerAero vibes like at all. It just doesn't look FrutigerAero, but it has all the elements of an image that would be FrutigerAero. Now this image right here, it definitely gives off Y2K vibes in my opinion. It reminds me a lot of Windows XP and that whole era. It's like, it's still Y2K, but it's sort of the transition between Y2K and the FrutigerAero era. So this is kind of what that picture reminds me of. I wouldn't necessarily call it FrutigerAero. I would say it's more of a Y2K kind of vibe. Now this truck right here, this is a remnant from 2008. It just has to be. It just looks like that. It is pretty FrutigerAero. So we have some old FrutigerAero wallpapers that are remnants of a bygone era. This is kind of a little bit Frutiger Metro-y, but it still has that classic FrutigerAero gloss. This one looks almost a little bit more like it came from like Japan. I know that sounds weird, but after looking at so many pictures of FrutigerAero things, you kind of just like develop an eye for it. And if I were to guess, this looks like it came from Japan. This is just really interesting. Yeah, let's keep going. Okay, now this is an interesting one, the Mario 64 DS cover art. So I actually don't think this is a really FrutigerAero. This is more Y2K in my opinion. It's definitely a little bit more, you know, like Windows XP kind of vibes. A little bit more Y2K. Oh, I've seen this wallpaper before. Yeah, this is a classic FrutigerAero wallpaper. Beautiful. This person here says, Over the Horizon is the FrutigerAero song. Yeah, the whole phone, the operating system, TouchWiz, the whole company at the time, Samsung, the humanism, and then this picture with like the balloons, the sounds, the splash screen, everything about this phone and this era of Samsung, very FrutigerAero, very humanist. I talk about this in 2 of my videos, very interesting to me. I really love this era. Oh my gosh, Windows Mobile. This picture is just the epitome of FrutigerAero in tech companies and OS design. I like this image a lot. Oh my god, it's like FrutigerAero threw up. Wii Fit, it's actually, okay, now this is a whole other rabbit hole. Wii Fit and the Wii in general is actually in a specific category of FrutigerAero called Techno-Zen. Techno-Zen could just be a Japanese version of FrutigerAero, or it might be an aesthetic of its own. I'm not really sure how to classify it, but its time span does overlap with FrutigerAero. Its main themes were technology, business, nature, minimalism, Zen, pastel colors, white, and bamboo. Nintendo was a big proponent of Techno-Zen, and many of its products and games from that time period reflect the aesthetic. Oh, how I miss Windows Vista and Windows 7. I think that Windows Vista and Windows 7 had the best design UIs out of any Windows version, and this era of Windows is probably my favorite. Here's another example of Windows 7 just being amazing. I miss this design language. I miss Windows Vista and Windows 7. Samsung Galaxy S4. We were just talking about that. Soft soap is now minimalist. I know, I'm so mad about this because just a few months ago, I got one of those classic soft soap bottles with the fish in it, you know, the one that everyone talks about. And I told myself, I was like, I need to save this packaging because I can feel it in the air. They're going to change this soon. I totally forgot to save it. And then the next time I went to the store, I saw the new packaging. So yeah, I'm pretty mad at myself for that one. Power Director box art. If you take a look at box art for software from the mid-2000s till the early 2010s, you'll find tons of beautiful FrutigerAero stuff like this. This actually looks like Y2K. I don't think this is FrutigerAero, definitely more Y2K. Anyone else get FrutigerAero vibes at airports? For many reasons, I think airports give off FrutigerAero vibes. The first is that a lot of the fonts used in many airports is actually the font that coincided with the FrutigerAero design style. The second reason is the architecture that a lot of airports have. Not every airport, but some of them were built or have sections that were built during the FrutigerAero time period, and they reflect that in their design. And the last reason I can think of is because the concept of airports themselves is really kind of futuristic and talks about the progress of technology, and that is one of the key aspects of FrutigerAero. You'll notice a lot of airplanes in FrutigerAero art, and that's no mistake. It's definitely a part of the aesthetic. This was a very popular wallpaper in 2008 and 2009. This is a really nice wallpaper, and according to the poster, it's called The Spectrum of the Sky by Dominic Camp. He also did one called Spectrum of a Tree. The fact that it's from 2008 and 2009 really doesn't surprise me at all. It just has that look. The glossy reflections of the photos reminds me a lot of what Apple did at that time for their branding. Aspects of the Apple TV UI, as well as the iPod Nano branding, have a similar look. And so does the cover flow mode in the iOS 6 iTunes app. It's a very iconic late 2000s, early 2010s look. I hope you enjoyed this video. Go check out the FrutigerAero subreddit, and thanks for watching.